What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Yesterday we made a video talking about all the awesome things Blizzard has been changing for MOP Classic, and we went through the fact that they're changing a bunch of classes, doing some serious class balancing, and some really cool stuff. But last night, right as I was actually getting off, I saw a post of this new mechanic that is added to the PTR, and it is geared towards PvP. Now, everyone has talked about MOP PvP as being some of the best PvP that's ever been in WoW to date. And it looks like Blizzard is going to be further enhancing that by adding completely new things that weren't in the game. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into that Wowhead post and talk about it. I think this is pretty cool for anyone who was on the fence about maybe jumping into MOP even just for PvP. I think this is something that you're going to be interested in, so let's jump over to the Wowhead article. Okay, so you guys can see the article here. Arena players can now choose their own dampening settings in Mists of Pandaria Classic Beta. So Blizzard has introduced a new system on the Mists of Pandaria Classic Beta, wherein players can choose to begin an arena match with either 30% or 0% dampening. If both teams in an arena match decide to activate their Bloodbath Orb, the match will be considered a bloodbath, where dampening will start immediately at 0%. We've made an update to arenas on the Mists of Pandaria Classic Beta for some experimentation on dampening, and we're looking forward to trying it out and hearing your feedback. The longest a match can go is now 20 minutes, and it was previously 15 minutes. Dampening starts at 5 minutes in all brackets. Every arena starting area now has a Bloodbath Orb, and it requires at least 2 players on a team to channel it to activate. Activating the Bloodbath Orb casts your vote for an earlier dampening in the match. If no teams activate their Bloodbath Orb when the gates open, an announcement will describe the match as being slower, and dampening will start at 5 minutes and at 0%. If one team activates their Bloodbath Orb and the other does not, the gates will open and an announcement will be described the match as having a warm-up period, and dampening will start at 3 minutes and 0%. If both teams activate their Bloodbath Orb when the gates open, an announcement will describe the match as a bloodbath, and dampening will start immediately as soon as the arena starts at 0%. Bloodbath Orbs require 2 seconds of channeling from at least 2 players on a team to activate, and the range to channel the orb is small on purpose to prevent misclicks. This will allow players to always vote for the type of game they want to play against their enemies, while knowing the specs of their opponents but not knowing how the other team is going to vote. We're looking forward to your feedback. Please leave it here. So, this is pretty damn cool, because let's just talk about this for a second, right? I know dampening, I'm pretty sure, came in at 5 minutes originally in MOP, right? In original MOP, it was 5 minutes. Let's go for a little walk out here. So now they've added this system where each arena team inside the arena has this Bloodbath Orb that, both people on the team can click and channel it to activate it. It's basically a voting system, in which, you can speed up these arena matches. Now, the maximum allotted amount of time for arena has been increased to 20 minutes, but you could speed it up from literally second 1. Like, from the second that it starts, you can now have dampening starting at 0%, which I think is pretty crazy, and I think most people doing arena are going to be activating this, right? I think it's going to kind of speed it up, because MOP is really where arenas started to get to the point where they can kind of go on forever. So I think adding this mechanic is fantastic, and it's completely new, right? This wasn't a thing before, this Bloodbath Orb and the ability to vote. And I do like the fact that it gives both sides a chance to cast their vote, right? So like it said, if one team does want to activate their orb and speed up the match, but the other team doesn't, you find a common middle ground in which, dampening will start at 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes, so it still speeds up the match to an extent. So I don't know, I think this is a really good change, and I think that this just really is in line with how I've been feeling about MOP lately. I think that they've been doing a lot of changes in terms of class balancing and all that kind of stuff, and I really am excited for it, seeing them change all the pre-pull mechanics that really, in my opinion, were kind of ass. One of the main reasons why I wasn't that excited for MOP, but seeing them change all this stuff, it really is becoming like a MOP Plus situation, or like a SOD 2, people have been calling it, because it shows that Blizzard's willing to make changes, quality of life changes, and add and take away things that will just enhance the experience, right? I know MOP is an expansion that people loved, in WoW's history. It's one of the most loved expansions throughout WoW's history, and I feel like the fact that they are now doing this stuff, trying to enhance the gameplay even more, making an even better experience than people remember, how can they lose, right? I mean, and it seems like most people, I would argue that way more than half of the population, I mean, I really haven't seen anyone against any of this stuff, but everyone that I've talked to is on board with all of these changes, and I think personally that they're great. I don't really see a downside to kind of just enhancing the experience and making it better with quality of life stuff, and maybe bringing up some classes that were not good in the past, and maybe bringing down some classes that were way overtuned. I don't know. It just gives me really good vibes going into it. I've been transparent with you guys this entire way, for the past like 6 months talking about MOP, where like I was in this spot where I wasn't really that excited for it. But as it's gotten closer, I've become more and more excited, mainly because of all these changes they've been doing. It's giving me like Season of Discovery vibes, right? Where you don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know how the meta is going to get shaken up. And then seeing them do something like this last night, like adding a completely new system to arenas to kind of give players a chance to vote on like the dampening settings and the speed of the arena match. I don't know. It just speaks volumes to me in the fact that I think this is not going to be just a relaunch of MOP. It shows me that Blizzard is really paying attention and really looking to improve on an already great experience. People have talked about MOP in such a positive way since it's been announced. I know you're going to hear a lot of haters on the internet and in YouTube comments from like Classic Andes who, are excited to raid Encourage, for the 5th time in the last 6 years. And that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. But these people like to just trash things that they have no interest in, which is kind of weird. And it's a weird flex. But either way, if you're someone who's open-minded and been thinking about getting into MOP like I was, but not really that excited, you know what I mean? All of these changes and everything that Blizzard is doing really is kind of setting the tone for me to be more into this than I thought. Now with Cataclysm, when Cataclysm came out, I gave it a shot for 3 weeks, maybe a month. We were raiding. We had a little 10-man guild. It was okay. I didn't enjoy it that much, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of my problem with Cata in the beginning was that I didn't really give it my full, all. I didn't put everything into it because Season of Discovery was still out, right? We were in Phase 3, I think, when Cata came out, and I was really just excited to see what was next in Season of Discovery. So without that hanging over my head now, going into MOP with pretty much nothing else to do in WoW, aside from I've been leveling in Frontier on Hardcore, I think that I'm going to actually be able to give this experience like a full chance. And I think it's going to make a big difference. I do. I really do. I think that I'm going to enjoy MOP a lot more than I originally thought I did for a few different reasons, right? Like I just said, we don't have Season of Discovery going on anymore. There's nothing else new happening in the WoW Classic scene. The only thing on the horizon that I'm kind of excited for is the Burning Crusade. So this is really all we've got. And the more that I've played around on the beta, the more that I've seen Blizzard put in work on this, putting in work on these changes and balancing and the pre-pull stuff, and now this Bloodbath orb in arenas, it really is making me excited. It feels like, it gives a little bit of excitement in the sense of like, we don't know what's going to happen, right? They're going to shake up the meta sometimes. Maybe they add new systems. The Celestial Dungeons look sick. There's a lot of cool things that they're doing with MOP Classic, and I think that anyone out there who is kind of butthurt that SOD ended, and you're kind of bored, or maybe you're done with your TBC prep, and you're like a true Classic Andy. I know a lot of my audience is true Classic Andys. I urge you to be a little bit more open-minded and give this a shot, because really we got nothing else going for us here. How many characters do you really need for TBC? If you got your few 60s and your rank 14, whatever, and you got nothing else to do, and there's no other games that you want to play, MOP is part of your sub. You don't have to pay anything extra to give it a try, and I do think it's going to be a better experience than we originally thought. And I've been completely transparent with you guys about this since the beginning. I was not excited for MOP. I'm getting more excited as it gets closer, and then as I said, like seeing Blizzard do all this stuff is really, really making me even more excited. So I'm pretty pumped. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know. Let me know if you maybe were on the fence and now you're into playing MOP, if you're not going to try it at all. Whatever it is, be respectful. You know, I know a lot of you take it very seriously, the version of WoW that you're playing, and I understand that. This game's been around forever, has a lot of passion and love behind it, so, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinions, and that's okay, right? But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Like the video, share it with anyone who's on the fence about playing MOP. Subscribe to the channel. Jump over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance. We stream Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We got pre-patch coming out on Tuesday, and then 3 weeks from then, we have the launch of MOP, and I think I'm going to be diving pretty deep into it compared to what I thought before. I wasn't going to be that into it, but now I'm on board, man. I think it's going to be a fun experience. I want to know what you guys think. Again, comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.